Marriage can be full of utopia and bliss, or filled with challenges and stress. But definitely, marriage is a journey. How do you handle your baggage? Experience the marriage that God always wanted you to have through the Marriage Utopia series with Stephen and Ann Butterfield.
Hi, welcome back to Marriage Utopia. Yes. We are praying that you have been blessed by what you've seen so far. And we're going to get into some more things that our family traits, our habits, our beliefs, and our unresolved issues influence. And those things are children. When you think about children and having children, and this is before you get married, you need to have a conversation. And the reason why we talked about the baggage is because those are differences that we have bringing into a relationship and cause friction. But we're going to teach you how to manage or to handle those friction or those differences. And this is what we're talking about. Marriage, the journey. How do you handle your baggage? Your baggage is who you are. And so we want to help you to handle those differences that's going to come up in a marriage. And children is one of the key issues that are in cause of conflict in some marriages. And so we hopefully that we'll help you to understand these things, and so you can know how to deal with, or even encourage somebody else on how to deal with their childbearing in marriage. And so my wife is going to start out by telling you these things, and then we'll come back and we'll hopefully you'll get something that will help you or help your children to be better parents and have a happier marriage.
Amen. That's great, Pastor Butterfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. We want to make sure that we all understand and get some information from this book that Pastor Butterfield has written called Marriage, the Journey. How do you handle the baggage? And we are going to be talking a little bit today in this episode concerning parents and children, which is a main part of the marriage, is children, and also dealing with the person, each individual person. So let's look at Proverbs 22 and 6. Proverbs 22 and 6. And basically, I believe most of us know this particular verse in the Bible, but I'm going to read this verse to you. Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Amen. And he wanted us to know in his book that this does not mean that a child will not stray away, do something wrong in life, you know, may go down the wrong pathway. It doesn't mean that, but they will have a solid foundation. If you train them up right, they will have the word that they can come back to when they find themselves in a place where they don't know which way to go, who to turn to, or whatever. They will have someone to turn to, and that will be Jesus. And so when you train up a child in the way it should go, you should train them up to know who the Lord is, who Jesus is in their life, okay? So let's keep moving. Instill in your children positive family traits, habits, and beliefs. Now, if we don't know them ourselves, we won't be able to instill them in our children. So that is the reason why if you haven't gotten any counseling, or you haven't really sought out any help or reading any type of book to find out how to parent, and also the help of the Lord is going to be most important, then that's what you need to do. And this book will help us along this journey. Amen. Avoid as much possibly as you can from damaging your children's spirit with your own drama that you are dealing with. And so that's what we want to help you with today, that whatever things that are going on in your life, because you was a child and you now have those traits and those habits that someone has instilled in you, and now you are going to instill them in your own children. And so we want those to be good habits and good traits. So a parent's habit, family traits, and beliefs can create unresolved issues for their children and will impact who their children will become.
Amen.
All right? And so we're going to look at about 4 different qualities, I guess we'll call them qualities, areas of parenting, personality traits. We can call them personality traits or qualities that individuals have, and we're going to go, it's probably more, but Pastor Butterfield is sharing about 4 of them in his book, and so I want to share those with you. All right? Now, parenting styles are vital when raising children. It's very vital that you have some parenting styles, and the key to that is the husband and the wife need to be on one accord as they are raising their children. And he talked about the fact of talking about these things before you get married.
That's right.
So you can kind of have a little feel as to what each other wants. I mean, one person may want 1 child, and one may want 2 or 3 or 4. 14. And 14, and some may want to have just a boy, don't want a girl. So that's when you got to really kind of start really focusing in on God and get some prayer in. When you have someone that is stuck on one gender. When a person is stuck on one gender, you're gonna need to be getting some prayer, because you don't know what God is gonna give to you, but He's gonna give you what you need. Amen. But we may not want what we need. Amen. So we gotta really focus in and know what God is saying. Weigh every area before you make a move in marriage. And if you're already married, go on and get some material and go and start reading and studying and read your Bible and pray and seeking the face of God and communicating with your spouse so you can get everything on track. Now, we are going to deal with one of these qualities of a parent, and one is authoritarian parent. And this one means an authoritarian parent means a parent who controlling, one who is rigid, one that is cold, and whatever they say is law. No matter what they say, it's law. It could be the truth or it could be a lie, but it's law for their household. And so that causes a child to be very timid. Now, girls raised by an authoritarian parent tends to be especially dependent on that parent. Now, the reason why they are dependent on that parent is because that parent has taken over. Their life is their parent life. I mean, they are only trying to do whatever it is that the parent wants them to do. So if they ended up in a marriage, now they're going to be calling mom and daddy to find out what they need to do with their spouse. And you know that spouse is not going to have it. All right. So you got to make sure that you understand who you are. And if some of these areas really catch you, then that means that you just need to study up on this. And we're always open for counseling ourselves. We can counsel you. And so we can help you.
And you know, just want to say that because of my mother was that type of parent, what she said was law. And if you don't even think about
anything else,
and so because that's how I was raised, I thought that's the way you should raise your child. And so I fell into doing the same thing with my oldest daughter, LaShawn. I was rigid, and so she got punished for stuff that maybe she shouldn't have got punished for. But because of what I knew, that's what I did. And so a lot of times we raise our kids based on how our parent raised us, or how we didn't like Our parents raised, so we did the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
To compensate for it.
Yeah.
And so that's why we want to make you aware that these things do exist. And you know, I fall prey to that. So after the second child, I was like, okay, that didn't work with the first one, so let me make some adjustment. And so you got to make sure that when you think about your family traits and your beliefs that you have, your habits that you've seen, and your unresolved issue for what you've been shaped to, then you got to evaluate that and ask God to lead you in how to raise, how to manage your children. Because you can have 5 children, each one of them are different.
Totally.
You can't treat them the same way. And so you got to be careful on how you raise your children. And so my mom, I knew she loved me, but she wasn't a huggy type person, a kissing. She tell you to do something, she wants it done. And no question asked, and she don't expect you to ask questions. And so because of that's the way I was raised, I had it with my kids. And then after the first one, then I leaned too far to the other side.
Right.
And then when I got my 2 boys, then I had to
come in and bring it in.
I had to bring it in.
Yeah.
They were a piece of work.
Yeah.
But I thank God for just the understanding on these could be some problems.
Yeah, there could be some problems.
Could be some problems.
And I'm glad you were saying that, because in your book you talked about the girls, but you also talked about the boys under this authoritarian parent. And it says, and the boy tends to become hostile. I mean, that's hostile and aggressive. And so in the household, what that child now grown up to be a parent, and now they are bringing hostility and they are bringing aggressiveness into their relationship. But guess what? It's not just with the with the kids. It's with the spouse too, right? That's right. The whole house is going to be under this hostility and under this aggressiveness. That's what it's gonna. That's what it's gonna be under. But guess what? We all is victims. We kind of like the parent.
We're the byproduct.
We're the byproduct of
family traits.
Family traits. So yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Yeah, so byproduct of our family traits. So therefore, we be doing what we have already seen, and so we have to learn. So that is the reason why we wanted to make sure we get this information out. I know a lot of you know this already, but then there are some that do not know what to do. And we are talking to you. That's right. Those of you that do not know what to do with yourself and with your children. That's right. All right, so we want to help you out. Now, the second one is permissive parents. Permissive parents. Now, with the permissive parent, this parent is one who provides lax and inconsistent feedback. And they require little or no conversation or communication with their children. They don't require much out of them. They don't require much from them.
Whatever they want to do is okay.
It's okay. It's okay. So now really, actually, those children are kind of left to themselves, right? So if you're the type of parent that you're permissive type parent, you're kind of lackadaisical, you're inconsistent, you will not follow up. You may tell them to do something, but you're not going to follow up with them. So if you are in that category, we want you to really start thinking about that and begin to feed your spirit to get help, to see how you need to handle your children. So children raised by permissive parents tend to be moody. Display low social skills and self-control. They don't have no self-control. They don't have social skills. They don't like to be around too many people.
Yeah, because the permissive parent don't give them any boundaries. So if a child doesn't have boundaries, they don't know how far to go. And you know, some kids, if they want to please the parent, they're lost on what. Okay, should I do this? I shouldn't do this. And so they don't do anything.
Right.
And so that's why they'll be by themselves. They'll be an introvert. They'll have low self-esteem because they don't know what they should be doing. And so children need direction. That's why the scripture we read was train your child in the way they should go. And so we need to make sure we do that. And give children boundaries. They have to know there are boundaries in every area of your life. There are boundaries, and there's some things you should do, and some things you just should not do.
You should not do. But a child have to be trained.
That's right.
And if they are not trained, then
they don't know.
They don't know. And so we are talking to the parent, and we're talking to the parent, but also we want to make sure that you understand you have to get help for your own self if you fall into these categories, so that you will be able to raise your children up in the way that they should go. God wants us to raise our children in a loving, caring home. And so that's what he wanted us to do. And
both parents have the understanding of this.
Of it.
What's the best way to raise a child?
Yes.
So you have to come to some agreement on how you're going to raise. It's very important how you're going to raise your children. And
we are going to be talking a little bit about that today as well. So authoritative parent. Let's look at that. Let's look at that person. Is firm. Now, when he's saying firm, it means that this is a loving parent who is very sure of themselves, and they are firm in what they are saying. Their spouse know that when they are talking, when they say something, it is for real. And also the kids would know that when mommy say this or when daddy say this, they mean this.
That's right.
Also, they will have a household where the children understands that mommy and daddy got the last word, not the children.
Right.
They have this understanding. This is our authoritative parent. Because their parent has taught them boundaries. Their parents have taught them love, and their parents have taught them to be firm, but in a loving way. So they set clear and consistent limits. They are consistent. If they have asked the child to do something, clean the room. When you get up, clean your room. Get your clothes on. That child know when I get out of the bed, I need to be cleaning my room. I need to get my clothes on and get ready to come downstairs to eat. They got chores in the evening. They know that they just can't lay around in the evening time talking on the phone with their friends or on the computer, and then mama and dad are going to come home and find out they have not done that. These type of parents know they have rules and regulations, and they follow up.
Yes.
So they follow up.
You can't be inconsistent with children.
Can't be.
You have to be consistent, so then it forms a habit.
Right.
It forms a habit. When I was growing up, my mom laid down some rules. Here's what you do when you get home from school. And because she was firm with that, and she didn't go, well, maybe you don't have to do it this day or that day. No, every day you come home, this is what you do. So with her consistency, she didn't have to be there.
Right. But you knew what to do.
We knew what to do because she was consistent. But if you're inconsistent, a child would, okay, do I do it today or today's the day I don't want to do it, or you know, there's no error to go this side or that side. Be firm and consistent. A child would appreciate that. Then at least they know what you expect.
Right, they know. So that's great. This particular parent also reason with their children. Now, when he's saying reason in this book, it's not like you're gonna just let them just change your mind whether it's right or wrong. Now they are talking, so you just gonna just allow them to change your mind. No, they are reasoning by talking to them and really getting into their head and seeing what it is that they are trying to say. Now the parent already understand themselves, but now they understand their child because of their children, because now they are giving them the opportunity to talk.
Yes.
And so the parent is hearing what that child is really saying and conveying to them, and then now they're able to really give them some feedback of whether or not they are going to change their mind, and they're going to let them know the reason why they're changing their mind, or if they are going to keep everything the same because of the fact of what the child has said to them. They also give them an explanation for why they should believe in a particular way. They give them an explanation. Where I grew up, Mama, Daddy said it. So that settles it. I mean, there's no need in asking a question around here. But when we talking about these 20th century children, we do need to give them an explanation concerning some things. But it's not an explanation to change what you have said. It's an explanation for them to understand the reason why you are doing what you're doing. Because a child needs to have understanding, just like we have to have understanding. A child needs to have understanding. So we want to encourage you to please begin to check your own self out. See if you fall into any of these categories. And if you do, begin to get some teaching in this area concerning parenting and what may have happened to you when you was a child. You know, what may have happened to you when you was a kid. The next one is uninvolved. Well, let me give you the authoritative parent and what those children would do if they have an authoritative parent. Parents tend to be friendly with their peers. Why? Because the parents will sit down and talk with them. They have learned how to communicate with people. They have learned how to talk. They have learned strategies. They have learned how to resolve issues and all of these types of things right in the house with their mom and dad. And so self-assertive, cooperative. I mean, really, the parent is teaching them how to cooperate.
That's right.
By just talking to them and letting them talk, and then you listen to them. And typically, they are successful and likable people. And reason being is because that parent, that authoritative parent, has had a good upbringing. And now they are instilling that same great upbringing. They are instilling it in their children, and that is the reason why the children will be successful. All right, and then you had something. Okay, and then uninvolved parents. Oh my, oh my, uninvolved parents. Uninvolved parents almost show no interest in their children and what they are doing or what they need to do.
That's right.
I mean, they can go play basketball every day of the week.
Drop them off.
They would drop them off at the door and keep rolling. They don't know how they're not in there to cheer them on. Other people cheer them on. They don't know what is going on with them. Pretty much don't know what's going on in the school until they teacher call them with the F. Right. And then they really ain't that concerned either. How did you get that F? Now you want to fuss. But let me tell you, uninvolved parents tend to have children who become indifferent to their surroundings. That's right. You know, it just they just can't really cope with what is going on around them. All right. So those are the 4 areas of parenting that we have to share with you on today. And I want you to know that children bring another set of challenges to an already complicated situation as marriage. It can be a little, it don't have to be complicated, but it's just the difference, and everybody is getting to know each other and everything, and then children coming in, and you know, maybe you don't have any children and then you have a child, or one parent come in with a child. So all of that brings about some different dynamics in your life. Right. The information in the chapter of this book is given to bring about an awareness of some things to think about as it relate to the subject of children. And we must teach our children to be polite. We must teach our children to be polite, and we must teach them to be courteous. Now, do you want to wait until they're 5 or 6 to teach them that? No, you want to teach them at an early age, as soon as possible. Teach them to be polite. Teach them to be courteous. Teach them to be kind. Teach them to be trustworthy. Teach them to be considerate. Now, I did make a mistake bringing up my children, especially my son, when he was born, my first child. And what happened is when children came over to play with him, or he had sleepover, or kids just coming over to play, they would be wanting his toys, and I would be telling him, no, go on and let him have it. He'd be saying, no, I don't want to play with that. But the thing is that I always made him give the toys up to the guests. Because me, I felt like that's the thing to do. You are the host. You the host. This kid is the guest, so they supposed to have their way, not you. And so, man, let me tell you, if a kid hit him, I would say, don't hit him back. Don't hit him back. But let me tell you, I don't want you to be like me, what I did. I don't want you to be that considerate like I was, teaching your child to be that considerate. Now, I'm going to share with you what I think that you should do. And that is because one day, my son came in the house and he had let some kid hit him. The kid had taken his toy and all of this. And I'm saying, well, why you let him take it from you? Because it was a different dynamic for me now, because I was thinking about in the house and the kid want the toy and you give it to him, but you outside and somebody done took your toy and all of that. And when he said, well, you told me to let him have it. But now he's so upset with it. And then someone hit him one day. He came in the house hollering and screaming about someone that hit him. And I was saying, well, I want you to come and tell me that someone hit you, but you've got to learn how to defend yourself. And then I realized I have not taught you how to defend yourself. I have taught you to just let somebody run over you. That means they take your stuff and they can hit you and you just let it go. And so then I had to turn around and teach him to be bad. I mean, not bad, but teach him to not be so gullible. I said, now, okay, let's sit down and let's talk a little bit. If somebody trying to take something from you, you're gonna have to go on and not give it up. And if someone hit you, you let me know. But if you are by yourself and you are not with me, then you are going to have to learn to defend yourself. Well, I didn't have much of a problem out of him after that. He really did get it. He really did get it. Probably wanted to do it anyway. So it probably didn't take him much. I didn't have to tell him much for him to realize, hey, I ain't letting this kid take my toys. Now, one thing that I want to share with you concerning this consideration and helping your children to be a team player is if your child have certain things in their room, because I began to think about the fact that somebody like Bishop Ruth had gave him something. he didn't want nobody playing with that particular toy. You understand what I'm saying? His auntie, when I say Bishop, his auntie had gave him something, and he didn't want nobody playing with that particular little toy. And so if I had just listened to him to get the reasoning behind why he didn't want the kid to play with that particular toy. So you gotta listen to your children and see what it is that they're saying. And you can help them by, if they're having a sleepover or people coming over, they put those things away that they don't want anybody to be messing with. That is one thing that you can do. And you may be able to come up with something else that they can do as well. But I'm just saying, put those things away that you really don't want anybody else to be messing with. All right, but we do want your children to be considerate, to allow children to play with their toys and everything. Also, you want to teach them to be loyal, dependable, honest, and understanding. You want to teach them that. And you know, with the authoritative parent, we see that they was doing just that. So you really have to do that. Please understand that an individual baggage, their habits, family traits, their beliefs, and unresolved issues will determine their proaction and their actions and their reaction to the situation.
Amen.
All right?
Amen.
Amen.
Awesome. That's so great. And you know, because childbearing is bearing and rearing are very, very important in a relationship, and it can cause a lot of conflict.
Right.
Because a lot of times, and then kids learn who they can pull on. You know, the dad say no. Guess what they're going to do?
They'll go to mama.
They'll go to mama.
Yeah.
And see if mama going to change, and they'll know which one they can be able to go to.
Right.
So you got to
stick together
and put down a rule on how you're going to raise your children.
Right.
How you're going to, you know, you got to discuss all these things, even how many kids you want to have.
Right.
You got to discuss that, because some women may only want one. Well, I don't want to kill my body or wear my body down. You know, and
be
so
all out of shape.
Right, and so you got to be considerate of that, and so you want to talk about that before. Then you got issues with, okay, when we have the children, do I want them going to a daycare? Right. Do I want somebody else to be taking care of my kids?
Other than family members.
Other than, you know, so when how I was, I didn't want nobody but my wife to take care of the kids. Nobody. So I told her not to work. Do not work. I don't want nobody else breathing on my kids. That was just me. And so she understood that, and it was fine. It worked out. And but you have to have these conversations. Right. You know, is this the way you want it to happen? Or do you want them to go to daycare? Do you want them, you know, and then when they get up to school, do you want them to go to public school? Right. Do you want them to homeschool? Do you want them to go to private school? All these things you need to be discussed before you get married. So when the child does come, you don't try to figure out, okay, what we going to do? Well, it's going to be kind of late. It's going to be kind of late then to figure out, well, how are we going to handle these? How are you going to potty train them? How you going to wear Pampers? Or, you know, they don't do diapers like we did. Pin diapers, cloth diapers. You know. How you gonna train them? What you gonna how you gonna discipline them? All these things you gotta discuss, because where I came from, my mom used extension cord. The rod will drive the wickedness out of a child. Because, and then you have a scripture for that.
Right, because you know some people think that the rod is the word. Right. And that may be true. Right. The rod is the word. Yeah. You know, you put that word in them, and that you beat them with that word. And some people believe you put that belt on them, put that stick on them, and that's where I was.
And so, but it's based on how we were brought up. Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Family traits are very, very important. And so we have to discuss these things, because if you know, I came from. You would get a whooping. And so with the oldest child, she got the whooping, and then after I realized, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. And then the next one, I did not do no whooping. Right. You know, trying to overcompensate. That's what we do a lot of times as parents. Yeah. We overcompensate, and then we overdo it. Right. And so we could realize that the mistakes we've made. Right. And I don't want the young generation to walk through the same problem. Yeah, this is why I'm sharing this with you. Yeah. You don't have to go through that. I'm giving you information now to equip you. You don't have to fall in the same trap that I fall into. And so we got to make sure we discuss these things. You know, the schooling, how you want to dress your kids. You know, you're gonna have them wearing Gucci, the top of the line, or you're gonna get them moderate so they can understand that everything is value, and then don't think that you're better than other people because you're wearing, and getting bougie and all that stuff. So these things you got to discuss. Right. How you gonna dress them? How you gonna handle them? When you want them to start dating, all these things you need to talk about because it's gonna come, and then you got to know what to do. Right. You can't just parent on the fly. Right, exactly. Because based on what the foundation you laid in those children, that's the way they're gonna be. So after they get to puberty and adolescence, it's too late to try to change it. Right, right.
And let me tell you, with the just for an example, with a 1-year-old that's beginning to walk, and you got your table all set up with your little things on it, on the end tables and the middle tables, you got these things on there. With a 1-year-old or maybe 8-month-old to 1-year-old, you would not want to be spanking their hand because they're messing with your stuff on the table. Really, you want to get everything off of that table. When that child is going to be, that little baby is going to be in that particular room, then your house just have to be kind of like a child friendly. You wouldn't want to be beating on the hand because they now just practicing trying to walk and trying to stay up on their feet and walk around the table and everything. So that you got to take everything off of that table and let them just do it. Now, when they get 2 years old, you may want to just put one little thing on the table, and then you can tell them, now don't touch that. But that's how you train them. Yes. Don't touch that. But it's not something important that you're going to get upset if they mess around and break it or something. So you just put it on the table, and then you say, don't touch that. But now they may touch it because now you're training them. But if you keep on telling them, don't touch that, don't touch that, guess what? They're gonna get it. They're gonna get it though. They're gonna touch it, but they're gonna get that you don't want them to touch that. Yes. They're gonna know that no, I'm not. That's a boundary. I'm not supposed to touch that. Yes. Yeah. It's
definitely, we got to make sure that we know this in advance, so when we get to that point, it won't be okay. What do we do? Right. It's gonna be too late then. Right. To try to figure out what to do. Right. And exactly. A lot of families are blended. We are a blended family, right? And so you got to talk about that. You know, these conversations need to be had because you know, how do you adopt them, or depending on what age they are. I mean, all of this stuff you got to make sure you get into, and discuss it, so when it happens, you have a plan already. Right, already. You have to have a plan. You can't just get into marriage. Then we talk about marriage being a journey, that you have to go and get premarital counseling so you could know some things that you got to expect on this journey. And so the same thing with children. You have to discuss these things to know how you want to raise these kids. I mean, you know, do you want to just keep them? They don't have friends; they just among themselves. You know, there's a lot of dynamics that goes on with different families. Right. Exactly. And so you got to make sure that the person that you're planning to be married to have the same basic core value you have, and the same thing you have now. So if you have a blended family, you got to talk about now. Okay, so now, are they going to call you mama, or are they going to call you by your name, or not by your name, but Miss whatever? Are they going to how are you going to have a relationship with them? And so these type of things you have to talk about and discuss. And so when it happens, then you already got a plan in place. And so you got to talk about these things. You know, how the kids gonna be raised. You know, because if the biological child and the mama is lenient, what that parent style was, unattentive parent, uninvolved parent, and then the other one is authoritative, then you're going to have issues because you're going to have clashing. So you got to understand what we're saying about these parenting styles is you want to understand the style and see which style is best for your children. And we already showed you which one is best, so you should lean towards that so you can raise your children so they then, when their children comes up, they'll have something in them to be able to hand down to their children too. So all these things you want to be able to discuss and to know that when you even have a blended family, you don't want to say that's my stepbrother, that's my step. You want to say that's my brother.
Right.
You do want to say that's my sister. And I'm grateful for the relationship that our kids have with each other. We had a birthday party on Zoom, and it was great. Everybody give a great compliment on how you show them love and how they feel that motherly love from you, and that was great. And so that's what you want to have, even with a blended family. And Tamika, I mean, she is so precious. She is so precious. If nobody else on Facebook like my stuff, I know my baby girl, my favorite middle daughter, is going to click and hit that thing. And so I think, and she shares it and promotes it. And I don't see her as my stepdaughter. That's my favorite middle daughter. That's period. Period. And I love her, and I appreciate all my kids. All of them. I love them all. I love them all. We have great kids, and I thank God for all of them. But I'm just saying that how, even though she's my not my biological daughter, we still have that rapport. We still have that relationship. And if something is going on with her, I want to make sure we get a chance to fix it. And so the same thing with all the kids. Something going on with them, we want to make sure we're in place to fix it. So we have to know that beforehand that these things happen, how are we going to handle it?
Exactly.
Because a lot of mistakes have been made. A lot of family has been broken up, have become divorced because they don't handle the children very well. That's not child. That's not your. No, if you're a blended family, all those children are yours. Both of y'all. Not that's my child, that's my child. No, that's our child. Because we're now both parenting these children. And so with a blended family, it's really good because they got double the pleasure. You got two parents, two type of parents. So that is awesome. And so these things, we want to make sure that you take them under consideration, because childbearing and rearing is very important with marriage. And again, how you handle your children is a byproduct of your family traits, your belief, your habits, and your unresolved issues. So please, we want you to go to our website and check out the book, Butterfield's Ministries Worldwide.com/stores, and go order the book. Get the book. Follow us. The book, Marriage the Journey, How Do You Handle Your Baggage. Go also on YouTube to Stephen Butterfield, and you would see some of these episodes on there. If you missed this episode, you'll be able to see it again. And we want you to go to our Facebook page, go to our website, marriageutopia.org, marriageutopia.org. We also have classes where you can get counseling. We do divorce care, we do marriage counseling, we do premarital counseling, and we also do conferences. So go on our website, check it out, marriageutopia.org. And until next time, be blessed and Marriage Utopia is the marriage that God always wanted you to have. Thank you.
We're going to talk about our experience with Marriage, the Journey, how to handle your baggage.
The book was very enlightening, and being married is definitely a journey.
We highly recommend it and really enjoyed the class and the book.
We found Pastor Butterfield's book to be very insightful.
Well, I really enjoyed the whole book from beginning to end.
We read the book and we were able to participate in the class. It was a multi-week session and it really was beneficial.
We also found that it was so interesting, it really drew us in.
You know, it brought things to our attention in the different chapters.
They were lifting the experience of the book to a real life situation.
Even though we've been married multiple years, there were still things we were able to pull from that did help to enlighten our marriage and bring things to our consciousness as we move forward.
Marriages ought to have an annual checkup.
The annual marriage checkup is really impactful.
Having a checkup, which I consider from the standpoint of a tune-up.
But it's good to check in and check up. We do maintenance on our homes. We do maintenance on our cars on a regular basis.
Because if you don't have that annual marriage checkup, you're really doing your marriage a disservice.
So we got the opportunity to attend the class, Marriage, the Journey, How Do You Handle Your Baggage? And that class was taught by Elder Stephen Butterfield and Pastor Ann Butterfield.
To me, the class was a great refresher on how to respect each other, how to submit to each other, how to love and accept each other, even with our differences.
But then we also learned some things new in the class and in the book that we think will help us continue to maintain a strong marriage.
And so we were able to go home and then actually take what we talked about in class and then do that same thing with each other.
Yeah. You know, being married 35 years, a lot of dynamics take place. And so going back and going over and rehashing those things that brought us together.
You gotta be a good listener, and you gotta be able to communicate with each other on a positive note.
When you expose yourself, when you become real, you know, you become vulnerable, but at the same time, that means you trust in this person with your feelings and your emotions.
Sometimes you have to listen to your spouse in order to get things done in life, in marriage, that is. You gotta be friends first as well. So basically, that's what's kind of helped us together, being friends to begin with.
And the book allowed me to ultimately become a better husband by displaying or learning how to relay a lot of my emotions to my wife.
It brings about a conversation, and it have you talk with each other about where you've been, where you are now, and where you're going.
We truly recommend it. We're thankful for the class as well as the opportunity to have been able to participate with the authors of this book.
Great experience in the class, great experience reading the book.
This is all biblically based, very inspirational, and it just lifted our whole ministry to another level and brought us even closer to each other.
So I would strongly suggest getting the book because it will make you have a conversation with each other about each section in there, about your baggage and all that you come through, and it make you think.
So if you have the opportunity, make sure you get the book and also participate in the class as well.
Yes.
It's worthwhile.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Class is offered again. If there's another version of the book, we will be taking a part.
It's a must read. If I had anything, it would be a #1 seller.